brought my Bible. Okay? I'm better than you thought, you see? And actually, this was given to me by my mother, and I was just noticing yesterday, and she wrote such a beautiful inscription. That's Mary MacLeod from Scotland. Very religious, actually, and it was something I thought I'd bring along today, because this is a group that fully understands Bibles and respects everything that it says. I also brought my confirmation picture, because nobody can believe it. Nobody believes this. What went wrong? What went wrong? Well, I had quite a couple of days, as you noticed. I did a very innocent town hall with about 3,000 people at least. And the first question, I said, this can only happen to me. You all know what the first question was. And the press is going crazy. They all wanted to see me. And I said, you know, for the first time in my life, I got in trouble by not saying anything. I didn't say anything. And I was in big trouble all over the place. CNN, Fox, CBS, every newscast was the biggest story. And I even beat out the Pope in every single, can you believe it? The only time I'll ever beat out the Pope. But I tweeted some things this morning. I said, you know, we have to do this because I wanted to be with you. I didn't want to worry about people just wanting to get comments. And a lot of you didn't see the tweets, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory and descriptive. The first one I said, am I morally, because as you know, they wanted me to speak up in favor of the president. You think he's going to speak up in favor of me? Why do I think he's not? So I started by saying, am I morally obligated to defend the president every time somebody says something bad or controversial about him? I don't think so, right? All right, so that took care of one. Well, it gets better. Then I said, if somebody made nasty statements or controversial statements about me to the president, do you think he would come to my rescue? I say, no chance, no chance. Then I put a third one, I actually did 5. And I left them. That was the end of my tweeting for the day. This is the first time in my life that I've caused controversy by not saying something. I didn't say it, by not saying something. Which was sort of amazing. I mean, there was some question I was asked. Most of you know what I'm talking about. Then, to me, interesting, if I would have challenged the man, the media, who, by the way, in some cases are really good, really professionals, and in some cases they are the worst. This political media, they are the worst. They are very dishonest, many of them. I think I'm going to write a book. Hopefully I'll have more important things to do. Maybe I'll only write the book if it doesn't work out, okay? Because if it does work out, I'm going to be fighting for you very, very hard. I'm not going to have enough time to write. This one is if I would have challenged the man, that's the man that made the statement somewhat maybe negative to the president, to put him out. The media would have accused me of interfering with that man's right of free speech. A no-win situation. Do we agree? If I would have stopped it, that was it. And you remember the famous thing where John McCain just ripped that microphone out of the woman's hand. I thought it was a little bit harsh, to be honest with you. Does anybody agree with me? That was harsh. They gave me so much credit. Not me, I didn't give a lot of credit. Okay, and this is the important one, especially for this room. Christians, I'm a Christian. I'm Presbyterian. Can you believe it? Great people. They are great people. Christians, that's all of us, need support in our country and around the world. Their religious liberty is at stake. Obama has been absolutely horrible. I will be great. I will protect. Believe me, I will protect. Because we're not being So, the first priority of my administration will be to preserve and protect our religious liberty. The First Amendment guarantees our right to practice our faith as we see fit, not just during the holy days, but all the time, always, wherever. It doesn't make any difference, and whomever. We wish. We'll be fighting, because I think it's an important thing, we'll be fighting as part, common core, and we're going to protect, totally, the First Amendment. Well, he's a handsome-looking guy. I guess we want to get this in the way. Let's do it. Go ahead.
Mr. Trump, the first question, national security in Israel.
Right.
Do you prefer the use of executive agreements or the treaty process in foreign relations? And what's your position on the so-called Iran deal? And how would your administration, under your leadership, deal with relations with Iran and the Middle East?
Okay, good. I like the treaty much better. It's a much stronger agreement. It would have to go through Congress. You'd have to get it approved. And this deal that's being made with Iran right now is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Israel is in big trouble. I will protect Israel totally. Bibi Netanyahu is a friend of mine. In fact, when he ran for office, he asked me to do an ad. I did an ad for him, and he won, so I'm happy about that. But I did an ad for him. But we will protect Israel. You go the treaty route, and then you're going to go through Congress, which is really, in a sense, a vote of the people, but I think it's very important. The Iran deal, I don't have to go through everything. So bad from the standpoint of the 24 days, which can be much longer. From the standpoint of $150 billion, that's going to be used to create nukes and also to create terror all over the place. All over the place. I will do such a number of them when I get in, if I get in. You will be very, very proud of me. We will be respected, believe me, and that deal will become much, much better. I know you have a lot of people saying we're going to rip it up, but they don't understand the way it works. But I am going to take that deal. I do that. I buy contracts that are bad, where people have lost a fortune with a bad contract. I take the contract and I scrutinize the contract. I make it so brutal, and I do good. And we're going to do that. We're going to make it so strong. Israel is going to be safe. We're going to be safe, and they're never going to get any nukes, that I can tell you. The only thing I hate about the timing, because money is a very important thing for our country, real 19 trillion. It used to be 18, now we have to start saying 19 because it's going up. And it will start going up very, very fast now because of Obamacare and other things which are costing a fortune. But we owe $19 trillion. The thing I hate so much, we're giving to Iran $150 billion. And by the time I get there, assuming you folks decide that I'm the right one, by the time I get there, that money will all be gone. It'll all be spent. It'll all be given to a lot of people and a lot of bad people. And that is so sad. And it's going to go very quickly. They're going to give it away very quickly. They can't give it to them fast enough. A horrible deal, an incompetent deal, done by incompetent people, and they should be ashamed of themselves. We will make it.
The Second Amendment. Why do you believe the Founding Fathers produced the Second Amendment?
Well, I believe strongly in the Second Amendment, and it's something we need. We need it for security, we need it for safety, unabated. We have to have people checked for mental health problems, the mental health institutions, and if you look at places like New York and others, they've cut back so far that we have people with serious mental health problems, and we're going to do a lot to fund that because we have to get these people back in the hospitals. But I'm a very, very big Second Amendment person. One of the things that I've seen over the last little while that's so absolutely ridiculous, I mean, totally, is taking the guns away from the military. You know we lost some great people recently. Great, great people. Really highly decorated military people that know how to use their weapons. And they were in a free zone, gun-free zone. And they were killed. One badly wounded, but killed. And if they had the guns, that wouldn't have happened. Could have happened, maybe one instead of 5, but they were killed. And it is really a sad situation. So we would certainly give the guns back to the military. It's hard to believe we're even talking about this. Hard to believe we're even talking about this. You might have heard, sort of interesting, because these polls came out, and they said Trump won the debate. The polls say Trump won the debate. and they say that the news poll just came out this morning. Trump, 36. Not on the big, this is the big deal. Trump, 36. Carson, 12. And then Reuters just came out. Trump, 35. Carson, 14. Jeb is 8, and he wants Common Core. So when people hear he wants Common Core, I think, and he's weak on immigration, those two things I think are not so good. So we're honored by that. But I will tell you, we will keep that Second Amendment. And I was just going to say a little story. I said, when we had the 2 prisoners escape, rough guys, had guns, very dangerous, upstate New York. They came, the first people ever to escape from that prison, maximum security. A woman and her husband were on television. She was petrified, but she was always against guns, always against. And the husband wanted the guns for protection and maybe for other things, but for protection. A lot of them like it for recreation, but we're talking for protection. And the woman was always fighting him and always fighting him. When those 2 prisoners escaped and they were within the vicinity of that house and that area, that neighborhood, she felt so good having those guns. And she went on television. She said, all my life I've been fighting my husband, and now I realize he was right. And I thought it was a great story. So I tell you that story. Have a good time.
Question related to ethanol. The federal renewable fuel standard displaces Middle East oil with homegrown domestic fuels. As president, will you support our national security with the renewable fuel standard?
Okay, yes, and I've very strong yes. There's no reason not to. We need it. We need every form we can get. Ethanol is terrific, especially with the new process. And I am totally in favor of ethanol, 100%. And I will support it.
Religious liberty is under attack. What will you do to ensure that people of faith don't suffer recriminations for speaking out or acting upon matters of deeply held religious beliefs?
Well, I think you can see where I'm coming from, and I feel so strongly. In fact, it was mentioned in my second paragraph. Religious liberty is so important, and I will fight for your liberty like nobody can fight, because I'm a good fighter. I will tell you that. I'm a good fighter. And I win. I really win a lot. And we will win. Not this, stuff with the all talk, no action politicians. They'll get up here and they'll give you 20 minutes on how they're going to solve the problems having to do with religious liberty and other things, and nothing will ever happen. I know them all. It's not going to happen. I will fight, and I will get it done. One thing, coming over in the car with some of the folks in the car who are really friends with almost all of you, great people. I was talking about the word Christmas. You go to a store in New York City, they don't have Christmas anymore. They don't put it up. They don't use the word. You take your boy to Macy's and you take your boy to these stores, they don't have the word. And I want Christmas reused. I want people to be able to celebrate Christmas. Somebody said, well, that's not the biggest part. I said, let me tell you, that's a big part. That's a big part. You know what they're doing. Every year it gets worse and worse. And before you know it, you won't be able to go to church the way they're doing it. And we don't have people fighting for us. We have nobody fighting for us. Do you know that one thing that I have to say, a person who's very, very top on national security, one of the top people in this country, said to me something that I was amazed at. Over the last couple of years, if you're in Syria, and if you're a Muslim, it's very easy to come into the United States. Now that's obviously the horrible thing that's going on right now with immigration. But I'm talking about over the last few years. If you're a Muslim and you come in, you can come in. Easy. If you're a Christian from Syria, where they cut off your head, where they drown you, where they do things that you're talking about medieval times, this you wouldn't believe. But if you're a Christian from Syria, it's almost impossible, in fact it is virtually impossible to come into the United States. Okay? And that's the way we have our country now.